Fever Ray is back after so many years. It's been like 8 years since that debut album came out, titled Fever Ray. I think it's a friggin' great electronic, experimental art pop album that proved that that genre honestly has a lot of room to just keep going and constantly change. We've seen it with obviously Bjork's last album and likely the album that's coming up, and FK Twigs artists like that, Kalela a little bit too. I just want to see it continue and progress, and Fever Ray is kind of like the one that's riding the waves, that's bringing it along to the point that it's at now, I think. Of course, being a member of The Knife, one of the better art pop bands around. Their last album was pretty cool. Ran a little long. I had a few tracks that just went and meandered off a little bit, but that was still a great album, Shaking the Habitual. And of course, Silent Shout being their best and one of the best of the 2000s, I think. So this highly anticipated new album that she kind of dropped out of nowhere. The single was out, but it wasn't really determined whether the album was going to be released when, and she just dropped it, and I like that artists do this now, and it has not disappointed. This album is certainly more melodic than her debut album, for sure. That one was a little bit more haunting with its electronic soundscapes, but this one captivates you with how catchy it can be at times. Like, it's honestly so refreshing to hear this sound. The bleepity blops that come up a lot in these tracks are quite watery, but yeah, they do kind of have an ear-grabbing sound to them as well. Fever Ray sounding excellent with her vocals that are a bit more upfront than we've heard them in the past. The lyrics referencing love a lot on this album, and when we get to the track Falling, we get quite overtly sexual from then on. Lines like, she wants me dirty again, she makes me feel dirty again. Whew. And then To the Moon and Back, which will easily be one of my favourite singles of the year. I friggin' love this song. With the lines like, your lips warm and fuzzy, I want to ram my fingers up your pussy. She is direct and straight to the point. Fever Ray has got game. Musically, it does stick in one kind of realm, but we do have a bit of diversity across the album too, like on the track I Don't Know About You, which has these tribal drums, which honestly reminds me of what Jilin was doing on her Black Origami album. And then tracks like Plunge, which is just a straight up instrumental track, which reminds me of some like ambient techno house that we've been hearing over the past few years from like Fortet, Bicep, John Hopkins as well. And I also want to mention Wanna Sip as well, which has this excellent beat that kind of comes in and then stops and then comes in. It just keeps coming and stopping. It really works well. Of course, referencing that feeling of love again, this time talking about how it's like giving her headaches and she feels intoxicated, but she still wants a sip of it. It's kind of clever. I do feel like I've heard a lot of stuff like that recently though, like kind of like bad for you type love, which is a bit overdone, but again, it seems to be done in a unique way here from Fever Ray. Then also we have a track like An Itch, which questions, imagine being touched by someone you love, and talking here about how an itch is constantly following her. I guess I interpret this as like an urge for someone to love you, like you want that love from someone, so it ends up becoming an itch that's following you around that you can't quite get rid of because it's just not going to go away until you feel that love. There's also This Country, which I wanted to reference as well. Not musically one of the best tracks on the album, but it has a bit of a statement, I think, in this song. Talking about this country makes it hard to fuck. I guess she could be talking here on, like, the way things are for women, because she also mentions, like, free abortions and stuff like that. And across the album, there is a bit of, like, a gender sort of dysphoria, I guess you could say, because, like, you're not quite sure who she's singing about. Sometimes it sounds like she's directly singing to another woman, so I guess like, talking about homophobia on this track, this house makes it hard to fuck, that type of thing. So yeah, lyrically this album is all there. Fever Ray tackles a lot of cool ideas that I don't think many other musicians are doing, but of course she isn't like any other musician. And going into this album, I expected to love it, and I've come out loving it. So I guess that's kind of the way it is. I do find the music really captivating on this album. I would highly recommend this, and anything by The Knife, that you need to go back and listen to them as well. Yeah, I don't have many complaints. I like this style of electronic art pop stuff that you don't often hear that like frequently, but I would like to hear it a lot more. For me, I'd say an A minus. You know, not many complaints about this at all. It's a pretty terrific album, and will easily be one of my favorites of the year. So please go check it out if you haven't already. Let me know what you think of this album as well. If you don't love it as much, or if you love it as much as I do. What should I review next? And have a good day.